All right. So I got this on my mind right here, and this is something I obviously want to bring up. So apparently, I do feel that under the administration of Creepy Joe and the modern day Jezebel Kamala, yeah, we're literally going to end up having some disastrous results. The first thing they want to implement is a $15 an hour minimum wage. You know, I've talked about this several times on this channel, you know, regarding a $15 an hour minimum wage. I mean, the first thing I did talk about is this. It's, it's going to hurt small it's going to hurt small businesses the most, you know, and it's going to have them permanently close shop because there is no way in God's green earth people who are in small business, people who run small businesses, will be able to pay their employees $15 an hour. I mean, in other words, they're going to have to jack up the prices of everything they sell or close shop altogether. Now, if you're a liberal or a leftist, you're probably going to disagree with me on that behalf, but it all boils down to one thing and one thing only: economics. It boils down to, when the cost of minimum wage when the cost of minimum wage goes up, expect everything else to go up as well. I mean, the price of everything else. I mean, here's the thing: minimum wage was never, as stated numerous times before, was never meant to be a living wage whatsoever. I will also say this: what about big corporations like Mickey D's, Walmart, um, places like those, places like those. I mean, now, I said this in a video before, if I remember correctly. Um, Both Mickey D's and Walmart start their employees that are a little bit higher than the minimum wage, than the national minimum wage. And, that all depends on where you live, too. I mean, I know but yeah, some of you all are saying that minimum wage, I mean, they can't live off of minimum wage. Well, but I'm the one that's saying this. Minimum wage was never intended to be a living wage to begin with. And it's like this: if you want to make a higher wage, number one, uh, you should prove yourself to, you know, get a managerial position, or two, look for a new job altogether. I mean, simple as that. But, and those are obviously the two biggest solutions when it comes to earning a higher wage if you don't want to end up making minimum wage. I mean, I had to do that myself. I used to work. I used to work at a retail store years back. I was making minimum wage then. Obviously I wasn't in that particular protest line talking about fighting for 15 and all that kind of stuff. I mean, and I mean, I was obviously live. I was still. I gotta admit, I was still living with my mother then. So, but I mean, I will say this: I don't have kids, but I do. But I will say I do got other debts. I lost student loans, but that's another topic. And then with the talk of the rise of having a $15 hour minimum wage, I also stated that you're talking about automation. I mean, in other words, you're talking about self checkout machines at at Walmart or a local grocery store, or you got these self serving kiosks at Mickey D's. Even though majority of the time drive through of it, the drive through of Mickey D's is operational now because they're not offering in person dining or in person interactions. Also, in the case of in the case of a $15 hour minimum wage, should you work for Mickey D's or places like Mickey D's or Walmart, um, literally you're going to get like severed hours. You're talking about working like almost full, almost 12 to 20 hours a week with a $15 hour minimum wage at hand, and and it's likely that you know there's going to be massive massive cuts. There's already massive cuts going on. When it comes to that wage. I mean, so the thought of a $15 hour minimum wage is literally going to have some really bad repercussions, some really extremely terrible repercussions. You're talking about this is obviously now if God forbid this is implemented, the value of the American dollar is already destroyed. It's already going to be destroyed permanently. And with this $15 an hour minimum wage, it's literally going to put a whole bunch of people out of work. Another thing I want to bring up is the fact that event eventually when this new administration comes to power, I mean, I will also predict this right here. Um, yeah, they're already talking about bringing in tons of illegal immigrants here in America. I mean, that's gonna and they're and when they're going to come here, they're obviously going to suck our system dry. You know, especially if they're trying to go to college for free, while people like myself got student loans up the ass. Even though I'm not begging the government to get rid of student loan debt. You know, it's a personal responsibility that I got to take anyway. I will say this: I do feel that all the progress that Trump has made within the past 4 years, when we end up having a politician in for 50, who's a career politician for 50 years and never really did nothing, we're literally going to fall for into a depression that's going to be even worse than the Great Depression back in the 1920s. America, I think America, we're really in serious trouble. And I'm also having this feeling that yes, they're also going to, Creepy Joe and the modern day Jezebel Kamala is going to end up packing the courts, the Supreme Court, which would literally lead to massive corruption in Washington. As if Washington as a as a whole, as if our federal government in Washington happens to not be corrupt enough. Everything is going to be about control. Now, if you're a if you're a progressive or a liberal leftist that's watching this video, you're gonna literally take it as if I'm spewing out conspiracy theory nonsense. But really, I am not. And what about people like who have like firearms? Who are who are legally who legally owns a firearm? You're trying to take away their rights to bear arm, their rights to carry a firearm. I mean, look at all these inner city shitholes that has too much crime. I mean, I'm gonna tell you this right here. You know, the, they might have us try to like get rid of our firearms and whatnot. I'm gonna tell you this: if the Crips, the Bloods, the Skinheads, and the KKK do not give up their firearms, why should I, as a legal firearms owner, should give up mine? You know, ones who never committed any kind of crime and what have you in the first place. Ones who happen to be law-abiding citizens. That's something to think about. In America, don't be surprised if we end up becoming a much secular nation, because Christianity has already been under attack before. You know, it's been under attack ever since the days of Barack Hussein O, and it's getting worse and worse. Next thing you know, let's not even get started on how the pandemic played out by shutting down places of worship left and right. Our rights to worship God is under attack, America. That's all I gotta say. I'm Chuck Johnson, a.k.a. Kid Thunder. I'm out.